I am joined here by some students who are pre-service educators and are at Indiana University. And I'm very excited that they have read my book, Role Reversal, and they would like to ask some follow-up questions, and I think this will be very helpful for anyone who is interested in student-centered, results-only learning. Why don't we kick it off?
Well, to begin, we're kind of just interested in how this strategy came about existing.
I had one really bad year. I had been teaching for a very long time, and I actually considered leaving education. And what I did instead is I started doing some research. I read Drive by Daniel Pink, which is an incredible book about what makes people want to do things. I read a lot of stuff by Alfie Kohn, who is an educator researcher and talks about best practices. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to turn everything around. I'm going to reverse the roles. I'm going to put the kids in the center, and I'm going to move myself off to the side, and I'm going to give them some choice, and we're going to talk about how to meet learning outcomes, and I'm going to give them the technology that they really want. And the biggest thing of all was eliminating grades, because a lot of the research that I had read said that, you know, those kinds of extrinsic motivators don't work for anyone.
The next question we had was in regards to technology in the role classroom.
Getting kids on computers was important, so I spent a lot of time thinking, if I've got a class of 28 or 30 kids, how can I integrate technology? Just down the hall, I had a math guy that had computers because they used a tutorial program 3 times a week. I would go over to him and say, hey, can I send 4 or 5 kids over?
Well, we were going to also talk about how you use that technology for feedback in the classrooms.
So in terms of feedback, a kid would do some work on the website. All the kids had their own web pages, so they would go in, they would answer questions, they would write something, they would embed other media, anything and everything to demonstrate learning. I go into their page and I can write the narrative feedback. And the beauty of that website, if something is missed and there's a prior lesson somewhere else on the website, I can just link right to that. And this is what makes the technology so powerful, because the kids love this. What they'll do is they see that feedback and they see a link that goes back to some prior learning. They click that link immediately, and that lesson is right there in front of them. And that could be a slideshow, or it could be guidelines with something they've missed. And that the immediacy of that is what makes that feedback powerful.
You mentioned like letting them use their devices, and so I'm curious, in the book you described like not having rules. How do you kind of, or like how did you deal with that to where you built that relationship with the students where they weren't on Facebook on a device, or they weren't doing something they're supposed to if there isn't specific rules?
Yeah, I laugh a little bit at that because I love talking about this. You know, it's tough. You do have to build rapport with kids, but the other thing is you have to realize the kids are going to go against the guidelines. They're kids. I mean, we're dealing with teenagers. I would say you bring your device in, and here's the simplest thing. Put your device on the table. Don't put it in your pocket. You know, don't have it down in your lap. And I would ask them, if you have your device out and it's below your table, what are you doing with it? Appropriate use is critical. There's just a lot of ways you can do it, and you have to constantly preach it because the kids are going to get it wrong sometimes because they are kids.